Good morning. Nobody's here. Good morning. This is going to be hot. I just made it. Cool. So good. Morning, Brandon. We're good. We're good. We're live. What's up? What's up? Steven, Robert, Brandon, what's up, guys? What's up, Alan? Oh, good morning, Crebos. Just caught my big boy yawning. That was cool. Good morning, Bandit. Oh, what's up, Reptile? Oh, good morning. Been running around already to a doctor's appointment that got canceled without me knowing. Woohoo! Good morning, Terry. Today is going to be, well, I say this and it ends up doing whatever it does, but I'm going to try and keep this short because I'm going to try and get as much time and work done in at the shop today. Got a bunch of messy critters over there and getting ready for the show this weekend. Sacramento Reptile Show is starting tomorrow. Today's load in and setup day for all the vendors, so I'll be at the shop today. We are going to leave the shop open during the show because people will buy stuff at the show and then realize they need more supplies and they'll just come by the shop. So babies are still eating and growing. I managed to get a third Antaresia to take a mouse tail on his own. So seems to be 3 of the 9 that are figuring out this whole food thing. Scenting hasn't really helped me at all, so that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Yeah, that's an interesting species to work with, but Steven says break out the zebra babies. Steven, yours is deep in shed, man. Yeah, still in shed in its tube. Let's see. Pull out Chris's female who just shed. Thanks for popping in, Alan, though. I know you're at work. Feel free to tune back in later. Oh, no. No. Oh, you're alright. You're alright. Easy, love. Easy. 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 I know. Things are rambunctious. They're not bad. They mellow out. You just gotta give them a minute. This is Chris Sexton's female zebra. You might know him as Helly Guy Serpents. He's usually in the chat and joins us. This is the female that I was going to keep and decided I don't need to keep another female with a pair of supers. Maybe one year I'll keep a nice female to replace my breeder, but for right now I felt like sharing the love. I've been keeping too much this year. So these guys are all eating really well, going into their second sheds. This girl's ahead of the rest of the group. So pretty good with that stripe. Hey, Chris, here you go. Morning, Chris. Good timing. Yeah, this is your girl. She got a full belly. She's settling out, sitting here. She's getting better. The more I handle her, she's a little flighty, if anything, but otherwise, she's good. All right. Don't wiggle your tail at me. You're not a colubrid. All right. So there's our token zebra for the morning. I think everybody looks clean. I did a bunch of fast-paced cleaning last night, getting ready for everything. Oh, Chris, I gotta find a time when I'm free during the week to ship or have somebody send it out for me. I gotta send another snake out too, so I've got 2 snakes that I need to find shipping time, so I'll let you know. The weather's breaking here, so it's finally going down from like these 100-degree days, and I gotta send Steven his snake. I gotta send a couple folks theirs too, so soon. I gotta I either have to take a day off or find like a wacky break in my schedule. I'll keep you posted. Doing some, yeah, I'll hit you up, Chris. I'll get all your shipping info and we'll go from there. This week I'm doing Tia's Cocoa. It's like a cocoa flavored sort of coffee. Not as strong as I'm used to. It's actually sweeter. Not a big sweet person when it comes to coffee, but still good. Morning, Carly. So, like I said, GX3 is going to be open all weekend, even though the SAC show is this weekend. So you can go to the show, you can get what you need, and if you forget something, you can go to the shop and grab what you need. And what else? I'm sure plenty of you are curious to hear about what's going on with the Madagascar hognose snakes. I did post a group photo of all the adults on Instagram the other day. I had them out for cleaning. They're like up there. So I stripped their cage, gave them all new bedding, much more dry. Still some humidity, but nowhere near as wet and wet season like as their last go around. So I'm pulling them out of that. And yeah, I'm not sure if I've got my timing right or whatnot. I guess it doesn't matter. So we'll see how they adjust, but they're pretty fun. The Sacramento show has become quite a big show. They used to host it over at the convention center downtown in the heart of Sacramento. So you had all of the politicians and everybody who worked down there, plus everything going on for the show. So it was a good sized convention center, but parking was a pain in the ass. You'd have to park like a few blocks away and paid parking, walk over. Your car wasn't necessarily secure to like leave things in or just quickly go back and forth. And it was kind of a pain for vendors because they had like a one-way loadout sort of semi-truck style linear thing. It's kind of a hassle. The space itself inside was great, but they're doing it now at Cal Expo, which if you're not familiar with Sacramento, Sacramento's kind of big. So there's different areas. There's like South Sac, West Sac, East Sac, and then there's like the whole Cal Expo area, or you start going north west and over towards Davis. But Cal Expo is more northeast from here. And it's basically this big sprawling area full of like soccer fields, warehouses, retail area, big shipping areas, so like big spaces. So I'm assuming that they've upgraded to that area because they need more room and it's going to be better parking. I know Miguel from Always Evolving Pythons is going to be there. I got to give some love to my local folks. Glenn Brooks, who's doing a booth there. Armando Palacio is going to be there helping him out and probably bringing some Drymarchon and Mexican Black King snakes. Glenn has tons of Pituophis and Madagascar cat snakes, which are amazing, super cool green, like elliptical pupil looking things, really neat, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So that'll be really neat to see. Who else? I honestly don't know who else is going to be vending, but it should be a big show. If it was anything like last time and how big it's been growing over the years, it's got to be big, I would think. Every time I've gone, it's been a fun time. So if you're in the area and you're looking for something to do this weekend, I highly recommend it. Good morning. Happy Friday indeed. Happy Friday. So, I guess last week we talked about, breeding prep and stuff, and I kind of got a little heated yesterday talking to some folks about this discussion's going on a Carpet Python page. Oh yeah, Terry reminds me there's a NorCal Herp Society booth there, so you can say hi to those folks, donate, adopt animals, things like that, and contribute to your community Herp Society, which is a great cause. I love those folks, so I'll definitely be coming in there. Just tuned in from Scotland, Kenneth McKenna. Cheers to you. Tom, too, you've been to the Cal Expo like 20 years ago. Yeah, it's a cool spot. It's grown a lot. I saw Slayer there. There it is. Last year when they came through for their tour, that's still going on. It's a cool spot. It's a big venue. A lot of stuff there, so it should be good. Since I'm not vending, I've told a few of my friends that if they need food that are vendors, let me know. So Glenn Brooks, Armando, if you catch this, let me know if you need a food run. I'll bring some food. I'm not going to be like errand boy all day, but I know anytime I work shows, the one thing that always is lacking is available and easy access, affordable, good food. So, got to help the friends out that way. But I don't really want to pull them out because they're nasty and they'll pee all over the place. And if you saw my fan, you'd realize that. Got like impossible to reach Madagascar giant hognose urate stains in that thing. It's gross. They fling pee occasionally. They're wild caught animals. So anyway, here's the story. I'll give you an abridged story. Brian Cusco's coming out this weekend. He's staying here. He wants to film some stuff, so I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who also watches his channel, because I think he will do a better job filming, explaining, and kind of putting a visual to the story. It'll be really cool. But basically, if you've been following me and paying attention, you know that I've been keeping Mad Hogs for a couple years. And although I am looking to move on from that project to focus and kind of narrow things around here for my true priorities, I actually had some success breeding them on their way out, albeit rather unintentional. And I only got 3 good eggs. The female is younger than I anticipated as far as being capable of breeding, but she did. She gave me 3 good eggs, and that was in July. That was July 25th. And I've been keeping an eye on those eggs because we started hitting the 50s, day 50s. It's been crazy warm here. Can't control my incubator, just too hot. Finally cooling down, but basically the temps have ranged from 80 to 87. They've been literally all over the place. Some fluctuation is probably natural in the wild and arguably good for developing embryos, but I have a feeling that range that they went through was way too great and just too all over the place. And I don't think the babies were allowed to kind of slow marinate and absorb their yolk as well as they should. But I saw the first signs of life of an animal cutting out of the egg. I let him be. 24 hours goes by, no more progress from any of the eggs. So I cut windows in them to give them opening, and that one that had sliced seems to have died in the egg. Unfortunately, I found it head down in what remained of its yolk in there, and it's not with us anymore. So that was a bummer. So I cut the other 2 eggs just to see what was going on, to make sure the same thing wasn't going to happen with them, and I'm glad I did. I feel like I had to, and at the same time, I feel like doing so also caused another challenge. So there are 2 remaining eggs at this point, 2 live, healthy babies in them, although one of them is rather small and had a bunch of yolk left. The other one is still in the egg as we speak. It's kind of hanging out, marinating longer, which I'm happy to let it do for as long as it needs. But that other one, because I cut it open to make sure it wasn't drowning or tied up its umbilical, I found out that it hadn't absorbed very much of its yolk at the last minute. And I think the crazy heat waves, we started getting cool, and then all of a sudden last week it went right back up to 100 degrees. So that's got to have some sort of impact on those embryos trying to take their time, slow growing. It's just not going to work. What is on your face? Oh, you're starting to shed. Got it. So yeah, that baby decided it was going to start coming out of the egg, although it had a bunch of yolk left, and it started yanking on its umbilicus. So I basically had to grab it, ligate the yolk, and tie it off in 2 sections with dental floss and then cut in the middle, basically to cut off any blood flow so it wouldn't bleed out in the process. Because if I just let it alone, it would just pull its own guts out and run all over the place in the egg box. And that yolk was so big and heavy, it would have just stayed there and dragged them around. So did that. Everything went well. I put him in a damp paper towel lined tub and left that in the incubator and checking on him this morning. He's still alive and hanging out. So with any luck and patience, those 2 babies will survive, and I'll have 2 U.S. captive born and bred Madagascar giant hogs to show for it. And based on the research I've been doing and what I've been digging up, it looks like there are 3 other people in the world that produce these this year. Somebody in Canada, France, and a gentleman in North Carolina. So as far as I can tell, there's only 4 of us who produce Madagascar giant hogs this year, and I would argue that mine was probably the least successful of everybody's, because I only got 3 good eggs and only 2 seem to make it. Everyone else that I saw looks like they got a couple good eggs and like 7 or more babies. So that's how it goes when breeding animals, I suppose. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully I can share good news. We'll when Brian comes up, we'll do some filming of that and we'll document it real well and try and tell that story a bit better than I just abbreviated. So stay tuned. Go follow Brian's channel for that. So, but ultimately, I am moving on from the giant hogs still, as much as I enjoy them and find them fascinating. I feel like I've done right by them by bringing some adults in, letting them acclimate for a few years, and getting a couple captive bred babies. I wish I would have been able to produce more, but the idea is I'm going to move the adults to somebody who's got the other 2 species and wants to make a pretty concerted push at producing captive bred of all 3. And then if these 2 babies survive, this individual and another friend of mine, Owen McIntyre, who is also into all of the species, I'd like to provide them with these captive born and bred individuals, because as anybody knows, if you get over the first hurdle of breeding wild-caught animals, those captive bred or captive born and bred babies tend to then make that next step of producing captive born and bred from captive born and bred easier, thereby improving the status of the species in the hobby. And now it's one little dent, so to speak, but ideally it will make it so we are that much closer to having captive born and bred individuals available in the hobby for folks, so we can take some pressure off the wild populations. Although it does sound like what very little importation of the wild animals is happening doesn't really put much pressure on their populations, because it sounds like they're pretty abundant in the areas they are found. So it's not like they're an endangered species or anything like that is going to disappear in our lifetime. But there's always that chance with island species and slash and burn agriculture and poaching and all these other things going on, political unrest. Madagascar's all over the place, so who knows. But basically, I am comfortable moving on from the project, having produced some captive born and bred individuals to then pass on to those who will do right by the species even further down the line. So there's my contribution to that. And then I won't feel like I'm missing out by getting rid of them and then really tightening the belt, focusing on everything else around here. So that's how that goes. I consulted with somebody who does a lot of importing and trying to breed these lesser known species, and kind of picked his brain about how to do right by a species like that. And that's what he does. That's what he suggests. And it feels right. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and make the right decision by the species and not worry about my needs in that regard, because I got more than I can handle around here. So, but all these cages you see behind me are full of females that are just slamming big meals. I've got to clean her, even though she's not breeding, because she's still getting food. I still cycle them even when they're not breeding, just to keep them in that rhythm of the seasons and changes for when next year comes around. I will breed them again, sort of thing, It's looking like, everybody's adjusting well. I've been in this place for almost 2 years now, so Everybody seems pretty well settled, got a lot of animals shedding and eating and doing really well. I'm hoping to have rainbows again this year, more carpets, going to try my hand with the Crebos and see if I can't get another crack at the Amazon tree boas. So we'll see, still rocking and rolling, but yeah, there's a lot going on. I've been awake for a little while and I feel like I'm going at an insanely fast pace right now. I didn't even need this coffee, but here we are. So yeah, carpet python. Had a lot of folks discovering the genus Morelia lately that didn't know about it, and that's really exciting. A few folks that have heard all of the bad rumors about these guys being mean or huge or bitey, things like that. And actually, I had the pleasure of introducing somebody to carpets for the first time and providing them with their first baby jungle carpet, and they're super excited. So if y'all know the account on Instagram, My Little Zookeepers, the woman Nidra, her two little kids, her boy and her daughter, are ecstatic about reptiles and animals, and that's where that whole idea was born. And they're new to keeping reptiles, and so she found my stuff and decided she wanted to take the plunge after meeting a bred lion, and a Papuan, and she came over and set her up with a nice, beautiful little jungle carpet, and it couldn't have gone better. And she's having the time of her life. The kids love it, and I couldn't be more honored to bring somebody into the world of Morelia that way. So, Terry, the jungle babies are doing well. They are eating a lot. They are growing and shedding and pooping and doing everything that I want from happy, healthy babies. In fact, hey, this little one had a shed recently, doing really well. Terry, I think you know who this is. This little guy is pretty cool. Amazing how much jungles change color with every shed, so it's going to be a fantastic animal. Striping going on, some cool tipping coming in. Finally starting to put on some noticeable size, get those big, cool, bulky heads. Just really fun. But still insanely docile. The striped jungle clutch that was maternally incubated is still like unbelievably placid as far as every individual's behavior goes. They just wouldn't bite me at all, which is great. I'm not complaining, but normally you hear that about jungles, especially baby carpets, just across the board. And these things are just gentle babies. Big babies too. They're big, and I'm feeding them sparingly. They're getting food every 1 or 2 weeks. Like, it's not on a schedule. It's kind of when I have time and when they look like they're hungry. So I'm erring on the side of less, and these things are just big, and it's great because they're healthy. They're not hurting for food. If I skip a week, they're still very well satiated. I mean, it's fantastic. This goes to show you, MI might be the way to go. Think this season coming up, if I do get a clutch of eggs from the albino Darwin girl, I think I want to let her maternally incubate her eggs if she's up for it, and if she sticks with the clutch, if we get one, I think she would be an excellent candidate. And I also would be curious to see how those babies come out, because Darwins are known for some picky eating habits early on as babies. They have a reputation of being difficult to start. So I'm curious to see how maternal incubation would affect that. You know, allowing the eggs to fluctuate a little bit in temperature, allowing mom to do the work, maybe go a little bit longer. Will I get the same results? Will I get bigger, healthier, robust babies that eat right off the bat when I offer? We'll see. We will see. So there's a lot going on here. It's great. It's been really good to see everything come to fruition and start really taking off and doing their thing. Very excited about it. And then, this weekend, going to see friends, going to the show. I don't think I'm going to pick anything up at the show. If there are any supplies or cool tank furnishings, I might grab one or two things if they stand out to me. I don't think I need any animals. I definitely don't need animals. We'll correct that. Although Travis Johnson is coming up and bringing me a big old present. Big toothy yellow and black present. So that'll be sweet. It's going to take the Stripe Jungle Project to the next level. Probably know what that means now. That's also an experiment in its own right. So we'll see what that does. But it's going to be a good weekend. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait. I really can't wait. I always get excited about shows, but this is the first time this show is like in my backyard. People are coming up instead of me traveling there. Terry brings up a good point. There is a US ARC auction at this show. The US ARC auctions are open to the public. So if you are coming out for the show and you want something to do after the show's over, stick around for the auction. That's a really good way to get to meet people and talk to folks. In fact, the Sacramento show in 2013, 2014, I can't recall, one of those years, was the first year that I met Andy Grossman in person and met Todd in person. I had talked to Todd Dyer of Psychotic Exotics. Ugh. I've been talking to him for a while at that point, and that was the first show I linked up with him, and then he introduced me to Andy, and the rest is history, and I'm great friends with those guys now. So Sacramento Reptile Show is pretty cool. So Farmer V, what do you think of the new egg trays ball python people are using for carpets? I've actually seen those egg trays. That's a cool idea. It does reduce the margin for error in your incubation substrate if it's too wet. You don't have to worry about that because it suspends the eggs. It's kind of like the same thing that a lot of us Morelia folks do with the light diffuser tray, basically the white plastic grid on top of whatever substrate you use or water, depending on your tubs and what you like to do. It basically allows you to get a lot of moisture in there without it touching your eggs and giving them the best shot. So I think it's a fantastic idea. I do think that it's definitely more of a ball python thing. If you look at the size of the egg indents that they put in, it's definitely ball python sized. And it takes a tub like this and organizes them in 2 rows of 5. Carpets lay way more than 10 eggs typically. I wouldn't go out of my way to buy those personally, but I don't breed ball pythons. I think it's a fantastic idea. I just don't see it being some crazy new innovation that's going to revolutionize the industry whatsoever. It's just reinventing the wheel to me. I've got light diffuser tray that I can put however many eggs of any size in any tub that I want, and I don't have to get specific tubs for the trays. I don't have to be limited to only 10 eggs. It has its benefits, but it's very limiting, and you will not see me buying anything like that. I'm not saying it's a gimmick. I'm just saying if you're getting into this for the first time and it's new and you're breeding ball pythons, it can certainly make your life a little bit easier as you get your feet under you and learn the ropes and learn, the biology of eggs and the anatomy of an incubator and what goes on in that incubator and the airflow and how that whole thing works, because that's a science in itself. So if you're still just trying to pay attention to your animals and learn that, it's a good way to increase your odds of success in hatching and producing your first babies. I doubt any pro or long-term breeders need anything like that. Great idea, but it's limited for sure. Good question. If you're not sure what I'm talking about by light diffuser tray, hold up. Show you what I mean. So this stuff, you can get big old sheets of it from any hardware store, and you just break it off as you need. You can use pliers and clip it and cut it to fit the inside of any tub, any box you already feel like using. And it does the same thing. It just doesn't have like the little indents to cradle your eggs. So if you're worried about them rolling, you can use like golf tees like Miguel does and sticks those in there, or you can use toothpicks and wedge them. You can really use anything. For the Madagascar giant hognose eggs, I cut one of these up and just cut little strips of them and just shoved it in there. I mean, you could literally use sticks from outside if you want to. It has a cool look, kind of makes it look intentional and professional and whatever to the untrained eye. If people don't know, they're like, wow, you have all these things for all these different applications. You definitely thought this out, but I like to use my gut and my intuition and my eyeballs. So, call me old school, but whatever. It works. Different strokes for different folks. Yeah, the light diffuser's way cheaper. You can literally buy a big sheet of it for, I don't know, $10 or whatever. The cost of those ball python egg trays are probably not very high in all respects, but if you're buying a pack of 10, I guarantee you it's not going to be cheaper than just getting a sheet of light diffuser that you can use over and over and over for however many species of snakes you want, regardless of egg size. So, just saying. Be careful. You know, you don't have to. It's an interesting thing. There's a lot of trends, a lot of people trying to come up with their claim to fame in the market or carve out their niche or stamp their name on something so people remember them. If you just do you, people will remember you. If you come up with a good idea, run with it. You know, try it out. There's no harm in trying, but don't overthink things. With reptiles, sometimes less is more. So that's my 2 cents on that. Yeah. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing all of you guys at the show if anybody can make it. My shop that I help out with, GX3, will have a booth there, and Grant will be there. The shop will still be open. I will be running around the show with Brian. I won't be working any booths or anything like that. I'll be hanging out, but I'd love to say hi. So if you see me, pull me aside, say hi, introduce yourself. I'm terrible with names, and I'm okay with remembering faces, but yeah, stop me, say what's up, take a photo or whatever. Big John brings up a good point. Light diffuser is also good for false bottoms. Yeah, I use this a lot at work, especially with frog cages and things like that, and make false bottoms for as much as we can. So it's really good to create a drainage layer and a little barrier between excess moisture and your animals. Yeah, you can do a lot with it. You can build frameworks and make cool stuff for like the walls and create, textures and rock work and all sorts of cool stuff. Come to Tinley, boy, you don't know how hard it is to get time off work. Small zoo means you gotta be there to work. Yeah, tune into Brian Cusco's vlog over the next few days. He's coming out, so he'll be showing off the show, I'm sure. We'll do some filming, always. But otherwise, I'm gonna go get lunch and get ready to go work my butt off at the shop today and come home and get ready for showtime. Anywho, thanks for tuning in this morning. Thanks for hanging out. Hope to see any of you guys and gals at the Sacramento show. If not, I will see you all next week right here. So far, been nice and consistent. It's working out really well. So we'll just keep going steady as she goes. And I hope to have more updates to share on the Madagascar hognose eggs. and babies soon. So stay tuned for that, and have a good one. Adios, Chris. See you, Terry. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you next week.